The river's edge lies in a state of suspended tension. It is neither land nor water, but a shimmer between worlds, a surface thin as thought, strong enough somehow to bear a running lizard. In the still air of the tropical morning, droplets cling to reed stems and the green shadows are dense with the sound of insects. Then, a sharp rustle of claws on bark. A basilisk lizard explodes from the undergrowth, each stride flinging arcs of water into sunlight. For a few seconds it is pure defiance of physics, a reptile sprinting upright across a liquid mirror before it vanishes into the opposite bank, leaving behind only ripples widening in disbelief. To watch this moment is to witness the evolutionary negotiation between gravity, speed, and fear. The basilisk's water-running act is not a trick of magic, but a compromise of mechanics. Beneath its toes unfold fringes of skin, thin and elastic, that slap and push against the water's surface, creating a pocket of air that briefly resists collapse. Each step must strike with enough force and speed to generate lift before the water closes. At low speeds, those same feet would simply sink. At too high a speed, drag and energy loss rise steeply. So the basilisk lives in a narrow corridor of motion, a window where muscle power, stride length, and surface tension align perfectly for a few miraculous seconds. The physics is merciless. To stay upright, each hind leg must deliver about 5 times the animal's body weight in downward impulse within 1/10 of a second. The toes splay wide as they hit, creating a fan that traps a pocket of air. When the leg retracts, the fringes fold back, minimizing resistance. This choreography allows the animal to take as many as 20 strides per second over water, with its body pitched forward like a tiny green velociraptor balancing on a trembling bridge of splashes. Yet even this miracle has a limit. After about 5 meters, 10 at most, the lizard must either reach land or plunge forward into a swimming stroke. What looks like freedom is in fact the endpoint of exacting evolutionary math. The question is not whether the basilisk can run on water, but when it chooses to. Each decision, to sprint, to dive, or to freeze, depends on risk, temperature, and terrain. Running across water is costly. The energy expenditure is far higher than swimming, which in turn is higher than remaining still and relying on camouflage. But when a hawk shadow sweeps the forest floor or a snake's ripple cuts through the shallows, the calculus changes. Time, not energy, becomes the currency. Water running is an escape tax paid to survive the ambush economy of the rainforest. Underwater, the basilisk is a different animal. The long tail that helps it balance upright now becomes a propeller, and the very air-filled body that buoyed it on the surface becomes a liability. It must exhale to sink. It can remain submerged for more than half an hour, motionless among roots, its lungs nearly collapsed, oxygen drawn from blood stored in the skin and muscle. Diving is cheaper in energy but riskier in exposure. Many predators, snakes, fish, caimans, rule below. On the surface, most predators are aerial or arboreal. For the basilisk, running on water is not escape into safety, but a calculated transfer between danger zones. High-speed filming in controlled test lanes has revealed how fine-tuned the act really is. When viscosity is slightly increased, by cooling the water or thickening it with suspended sediment, the lizard must alter its stride frequency and limb angle. It shortens contact time, increases slap velocity, and compensates for drag by shifting its tail rhythm. The boundary between running and sinking can shift with a mere degree or two of temperature change. This makes the basilisk's behavior a sensitive gauge of environmental conditions, essentially a living thermometer that calibrates its movements to the fluid properties of its world. In the wild, these adjustments are unconscious yet perfectly executed. Field studies in Costa Rica show that individuals in cooler morning water run shorter distances before diving, while those in warmer mid-afternoon shallows extend their runs 2- or 3-fold. Juveniles, lighter and more elastic, can run farther than adults, often using it as their primary defense. For them, water is not a hazard but a corridor, a transparent highway connecting riverbank microhabitats. Adults, heavier and stronger, rely more on swimming and ambush. Thus, what begins as a youthful feat of escape becomes, with age, a tactical choice. The basilisk's life stages mirror its physical options, mapping the physics of motion onto the biology of survival. The ecology of the act ripples outward. Every splash signals movement to predators and prey alike. Herons and kingfishers, attuned to surface disturbances, sometimes home in on the noise, mistaking it for fish. In contrast, the noise also startles aquatic insects and fish fry, sending them darting in panic, a temporary feeding opportunity for other lizards waiting nearby. In this sense, even the basilisk's frantic escape becomes a disturbance that others exploit. Water is never a neutral surface here. It is the social medium of the rainforest, broadcasting every step in vibration and sound. Energy, meanwhile, tells its own story. Biomechanical models estimate that the cost of water running is roughly 5 times that of terrestrial sprinting. The lizard's leg muscles, especially the gastrocnemius and digital flexors, operate near their metabolic ceiling during each run. Sustained effort is impossible. Instead, the basilisk uses short, explosive anaerobic bursts powered by stored glycogen. Within seconds, its blood lactate levels spike, forcing it to stop, breathe heavily, and recover. The water run, therefore, is the lizard's equivalent of an emergency flare, bright, brief, and exhausting. That such an expensive behavior has persisted in evolution suggests how strongly natural selection rewards even fleeting advantages when predation risk is constant. Yet the basilisk's relationship with water extends beyond escape. Many individuals are territorial along stream banks, using overhanging branches as platforms. From these perches, they drop directly onto the water's surface to chase rivals or pursue insects, blending aerial and aquatic agility in a single leap. The hydrodynamic slap that defines their run also generates sound, and researchers have recorded distinct patterns: short, loud bursts when startled, longer rhythmic sequences during territorial chases. Whether these water impacts serve any communicative role remains debated, but in the acoustically dense rainforest, where sightlines are short, such vibration-based cues may function as primitive signals. In evolutionary terms, the basilisk's ability likely arose from incremental improvements in morphology already present in its iguanid relatives. Broad toes, long legs, and light bones all predisposed certain lineages toward water interaction. Once the behavioral threshold was crossed, attempting to sprint across a small pool instead of diving, the feedback loop of selection favored stronger limbs, faster reflexes, and flexible skin fringes. What we see today is not an isolated oddity, but a snapshot of ongoing evolution, a physical manifestation of the rainforest's relentless demand for innovation under pressure. There is irony in the basilisk's mythological name, the Jesus Christ lizard. In reality, it does not walk on water, but runs violently against it, fighting collapse with every stride. Each step is a miniature explosion, a battle against the physics that should drag it under. The river beneath it is no miracle. It is resistance itself, made momentarily solid by speed. From a mechanical viewpoint, water is only a flaw if struck fast enough, an insight that echoes through aerodynamics, locomotion, and even flight. The basilisk's run shows us that flight does not always mean leaving the ground. Sometimes it means creating one where none should exist. In the end, the scene resolves back into quiet. The ripples fade. Sunlight returns to the unbroken sheen of the river's surface. Somewhere beyond the reeds, the basilisk rests, heart racing, sides heaving, skin darkened with adrenaline flush. The water that betrayed its presence now hides it again, a mirror waiting for the next disturbance. In that fleeting moment between steps, between sinking and sprinting, the rainforest reminds us that survival here depends not on what you stand upon, but on how fast you move before the floor disappears. The canopy is a world suspended between gravity and air, an empire of shadows where every branch is both a bridge and a battlefield. The tree boa rules this vertical labyrinth not by speed or venom, but by architecture. Its body is not merely a vessel of muscle and scale, it is a living structure, a bridge, a snare, a shadow that completes the geometry of the forest. Where the light breaks unevenly through the leaves and trunks stand like pillars in a green cathedral, the boa's form weaves itself into the architecture, transforming space into weaponry. From a distance, the canopy seems whole, its crown an unbroken sea of green. But up close, it is riddled with gaps, air corridors no wider than a meter or two, carved by storms, growth competition, or falling branches. For the small mammals and birds that navigate this network, these gaps are the forest's silent danger. Each leap is a calculation of distance, weight, and landing probability. For the tree boa, those same openings are opportunity. Coiled among interlacing branches, it extends its front third into the void, body looping back into anchor points behind. The snake becomes a bridge, living, trembling, scentless, its head poised at the intersection of shadows where a tanager or bat might attempt the jump. It waits motionless for hours, sometimes through the full length of the afternoon. The canopy wind shifts, the light tilts, and still the boa holds. Muscles along its spine contract and release in micro-adjustments, counterbalancing its own weight against the flex of the branch. Every scale is pressed to wood, reading vibration like a fingertip. The forest transmits information continuously, the footfalls of an opossum far away, the oscillations of a bird landing nearby, the tremor of a leaf disturbed by an insect's crawl. The boa filters these signals the way a musician distinguishes instruments in an orchestra. Most are dismissed, but one pattern, one distinct rhythm, will ignite the ambush reflex. When it happens, the strike is silent lightning. The head blurs forward, propelled by a single pulse of coiled tension, jaws spreading to twice their resting width. The target, often a gliding rodent, arboreal bird, or even a small monkey, is seized mid-arc, pulled out of the air before it completes its trajectory. There is no ground to crash against, no dust to rise, only the muffled flutter of wings and the boa's loops tightening around its prey as the bridge becomes a noose. Biologists studying these snakes with infrared and high-speed cameras have begun to understand how precisely their geometry dictates success. Strike outcomes are influenced not only by distance, but by gap width and light contrast. When the space between branches widens beyond about 1.2 meters, the snake's balance becomes unstable. The extended portion of the body can no longer remain rigid enough for a controlled strike. Instead, the animal must withdraw, reposition, or risk falling. But the trade-off is more subtle than simple reach. Narrower gaps reduce strike window and prey frequency, while wider ones increase visual exposure. The boa's success curve peaks within a very narrow corridor, a testament to the constraints of physics on predation strategy. Shadow contrast plays an equally decisive role. In daylight, filtered through leaves and moving branches, light shifts constantly. The boa uses this motion to its advantage. Its dorsal scales, often dappled with irregular blotches of brown, olive and cream, mirror the texture of bark and the flicker of foliage shadows. When the forest floor below brightens, its silhouette dissolves. When clouds move and dim the canopy, it blends into trunk shade. In controlled experiments using artificial lighting, researchers have shown that strike rates plummet when snakes are illuminated from below, when their silhouette breaks unnaturally against bright air instead of merging into shadow. The canopy's light gradients, therefore, are not mere background. They are part of the snake's hunting apparatus. The boa's vertical ambush style has evolved in concert with the structure of rainforest trees. Many canopy species possess lateral branches that diverge in predictable angles, forming horizontal forks or narrow V-shaped corridors, natural perches from which the snake can brace itself. Over evolutionary time, boas have refined musculature and skeletal elasticity to exploit these angles. Their vertebrae, numbering in the hundreds, form a dynamic suspension system. Each bone articulates just enough to distribute load evenly along the body. This mechanical precision allows a 2-meter snake to suspend more than half its length unsupported without collapsing under its own weight, a feat of biological engineering unmatched among terrestrial vertebrates. In the nocturnal canopy, the hunt changes tone but not intent. When the lights of day vanish and the air thickens with humidity, the boa's thermal sensors, small pits lining its upper lip, become active. These infrared detectors read minute differences in temperature, mapping the forest in heat gradients invisible to the human eye. A passing rodent registers as a faint glow, a moving ember amid the cool foliage. The boa aligns its strike not by sight, but by thermal contour, calculating distance and velocity through a sensory algorithm older than vision itself. Under these conditions, gap width still matters, but now so does air movement. A wide gap carries more turbulence. The snake's thermoreceptive map shimmers with distortion. In such conditions, it shortens its bridge, waiting instead for the prey to close distance. Predation in the canopy is never solitary in consequence. The snake's feeding patterns shape the behavior of entire guilds of small vertebrates. Birds alter their flight routes, preferring continuous branches even when longer. Arboreal mammals adjust their foraging times to daylight hours when boas are less active. In turn, these shifts influence the plants themselves. Seed dispersal, pollination, and leaf consumption follow the paths carved by fear. The boa, by merely existing as a line of danger, redraws the movement maps of the forest. Thermoregulation adds another layer of strategy. Though boas are primarily nocturnal hunters, they rely on daytime heat to charge their metabolism. After a successful hunt, they retreat into canopy hollows or coil along thick limbs that hold the sun's warmth well into the evening. The gradient between warm trunks and cooler outer branches dictates their daily movements. In cooler seasons, boas may descend closer to the ground, where microclimates are more stable and gaps narrower, a behavior mirrored in their prey, creating seasonal shifts in vertical ecology that ripple up and down the forest strata. Their reproduction follows a similar rhythm. Females seek out rotting tree cavities, where humidity and temperature remain constant. Eggs incubate in the damp interior wood for weeks, protected from dehydration and sudden temperature drops. When hatchlings emerge, they already possess the climbing instincts and prehensile balance of their parents. Their first meals are often small anoles or frogs caught at the lower canopy levels, training runs for the more ambitious bridging hunts of adulthood. In this way, the life of a tree boa is a slow ascension through vertical space, each layer of the forest representing a stage of its anatomical and behavioral development. Field studies attempting to measure strike performance in natural conditions face unique challenges. Researchers have begun constructing mechanical prey gliders, motorized decoys that mimic the motion and heat signature of small arboreal animals leaping across gaps. Cameras mounted at multiple angles record the timing and precision of strikes. Early data suggests that the snake's decision to commit to a strike is triggered not by proximity alone, but by optical flow, the relative speed of an approaching object against background foliage. The boa appears to solve, in a fraction of a second, an equation of motion, depth, and contrast that allows it to strike exactly when the prey's flight path intersects its own suspended arc. But every advantage has its limit. In storms, when branches sway too violently, or in dry seasons when leaf cover thins and light patterns become stark, the boa's ambush geometry breaks down. Gaps widen beyond the structural tolerance of its body, and its shadow stands out too clearly. In these moments, it retreats, folding back into thicker tangles, relying on scent tracking rather than bridging. How wide is too wide? The answer is fluid. It depends on temperature, body size, humidity, and even the psychological tension of hunger. The boa is an engineer of opportunity, constantly recalculating the architecture of the forest to fit the architecture of its body. In the calm after rain, when mist still coils through the branches, the tree boa reclaims its domain. Drops gather along its scales, reflecting shards of light that make it momentarily visible before it freezes again, invisible against the bark. A small bird darts across the gap, wings cutting the still air. For an instant, the forest seems to hold its breath. The boa uncoils, half bridge, half shadow, and the gap closes. The canopy resumes its hum, indifferent to the quiet rearrangement of life and death. High above the forest floor, the tree boa's art is not flight or speed, but architecture, an animal that has turned geometry into predation, the physics of balance into the language of survival. Here, in the trembling vault of leaves, the question is written in every gap: how wide can life stretch before it falls? The rainforest after sunset becomes an invisible world revealed only by sound. Beneath the canopy, air thickens with moisture, and the heat of the day drains upward into the vault of leaves, replaced by cooler currents that carry the smells of nectar, ripening fruit, and drifting insects. It is the hour when sight begins to fail, but hearing sharpens. And for bats, that shift is the opening of their dominion. From fissures in tree bark, from hollow trunks and folded palm leaves, hundreds emerge, tiny silhouettes unfolding against a sky that still holds a trace of dusk. Their wings catch nothing of the moonlight. They vanish into the night, leaving only the faint clicks and chirps of echolocation, inaudible to us, but mapping every fold of the forest in precise acoustic relief. To the human eye, the forest at night is chaos, tangled vines, interlocking branches, clouds of insects flickering in and out of focus. But to a bat, it is a structured three-dimensional grid defined not by light, but by echo. Every pulse it emits, some 50 to 200 per second during active hunting, returns as a cascade of information: distance, direction, velocity, even texture. In the milliseconds between pulses, the bat assembles an image as vivid to its brain as vision is to ours. It reads the shape of a moth's flutter, the hollow resonance of a leaf, the Doppler stretch of an insect's beating wings. This internal sonar map is not static. It constantly folds and reforms as the animal accelerates, climbs, or banks through the undergrowth at speeds of up to 30 kilometers per hour. Where we see only darkness, the bat perceives a world sculpted in echoes, a landscape of invisible architecture. Yet this mastery of sound is not free. Each pulse carries energy and reveals position. In the competition between predator and prey, even invisibility comes with rent. Many nocturnal insects, especially moths, have evolved specialized tympanal organs, miniature ears, tuned precisely to detect the ultrasonic calls of hunting bats. When they hear the telltale frequency, they drop suddenly from flight, fold their wings and plummet into the undergrowth. Others emit their own clicks to jam the bat's signal or mimic the echoes of other objects. In response, bats adapt the pitch, rhythm and intensity of their calls, shifting from loud, long-range detection tones to rapid, quieter buzzes during final approach. The result is an acoustic arms race fought in darkness, where every decibel matters. But there is another constraint, one painted not by sound, but by light, the moon itself. On bright nights, under the full silver wash of lunar glow, bats alter their behavior in subtle but measurable ways. Many species fly lower, skimming close to vegetation or hugging along riverbanks and forest walls. Others delay emergence or shorten foraging bouts altogether. The reason is ancient and simple: the fear of being seen. Owls, snakes, and even nocturnal raptors exploit bright nights to hunt bats in the open. For these winged mammals, the moon is both a clock and a spotlight. The brighter the sky, the riskier the air. Field biologists have quantified this moonlight effect across species and continents. During full moons, bat activity can drop by as much as 50%, especially in open habitats. In cluttered forest interiors, where shadows remain deep even under bright skies, the decline is less severe but still visible. Some species compensate by shifting to denser flight corridors, weaving between tree trunks and vines where the moon cannot reach. Acoustic tracking shows that these nights also bring a change in echolocation strategy. Bats emit shorter, higher frequency calls, signals that travel less distance but offer greater precision among obstacles. In essence, they trade range for stealth, shrinking their perceptual bubble to remain unseen. This behavior carries a cost. Prey density does not change with lunar cycles, but accessibility does. Flying lower means more obstacles and fewer insects captured per unit of energy. For insectivorous bats, every maneuver, every burst of wing beat burns calories from a limited nightly budget. Experiments comparing capture rates under different moon phases reveal a delicate economy. A bat may need to chase twice as many insects under a full moon to achieve the same energy intake as under a new one. Some species compensate by increasing foraging duration. Others enter partial torpor between hunts to conserve heat. The lunar cycle, therefore, acts as a hidden metronome governing not just activity, but physiology. The forest itself mirrors this rhythm. Insect emergence patterns fluctuate with moonlight. More flightless or ground-dwelling forms appear under bright skies, while aerial species retreat. Nectar-producing plants experience shifts in pollination when their bat visitors stay grounded, forcing a cascade of ecological adjustments. Frugivorous bats, the main seed dispersers of many tropical trees, may delay feeding, altering the nightly routes through which seeds are carried and dropped. Over generations, these subtle behavioral oscillations shape plant distributions, demonstrating how even the distant orbit of the moon can ripple through an entire ecosystem. In cluttered environments, bats exhibit a second layer of adaptation, spatial filtering. They use stereo processing between both ears to detect phase differences in echoes arriving microseconds apart, constructing a dynamic depth map. When flying lower to avoid moonlight, they must also recalibrate this auditory geometry. Echoes now return more densely from leaves, trunks, and vines. The result is an echo storm, a chaotic soundscape of overlapping reflections. To navigate it, the bat narrows its sonar beam, focusing on a small forward cone rather than scanning broadly. This precision mode demands rapid wing and head coordination. The animal effectively flies through a tunnel of its own making, each click carving a momentary path through the acoustic clutter. For frugivorous species like the common short-tailed bat, Carolia perspicillata, the moonlight problem is compounded by the scent of their food. Many ripe fruits emit volatile compounds detectable over meters, betraying their location to both bats and predators. On bright nights, these bats are caught in a sensory dilemma. Approach a fruiting branch and risk silhouette exposure, or ignore it and lose valuable calories. Observations show that they often choose compromise, flying to the fruit but waiting beneath the canopy until passing clouds dim the light before feeding. Their choices paint a picture of constant risk management, an equilibrium between hunger and caution. Even echolocation itself may betray them. Though most bat calls are above human hearing, some predators perceive their lower harmonics. Owls, with acute low-frequency hearing, can track the faint rhythmic patterns of bat pulses echoing off leaves. In bright conditions, when bats reduce call volume to remain hidden, their detection range shrinks dramatically, sometimes to less than 3 meters. This creates a paradox. The very tool that lets them hunt also makes them vulnerable. The brighter the night, the smaller their acoustic world becomes. Studies of heart rate and oxygen consumption during flight reveal the cost of this defensive maneuvering. A bat in open flight burns energy with an efficiency rivaling that of migratory birds. But when forced to weave through dense clutter, braking, accelerating, and constantly reorienting, its metabolic rate can triple. Over the course of a lunar cycle, these fluctuations form an energetic pulse, the unseen heartbeat of nocturnal ecology. Researchers call it the echolocation rent, the extra energy demanded by a world that can hear and see you back. In evolutionary terms, moonlight avoidance may be one of the oldest behaviors in nocturnal mammals. Fossil evidence and comparative genetics suggest that early insectivorous bats diversified during periods when predation pressure from birds was intense. The shift to night flight offered freedom from avian competition, but the moon remained a periodic threat, a reminder of the day intruding into night. Modern bats carry that ancient caution in their genes, modulating activity by lunar brightness even when predators are absent. Some laboratory colonies, raised for generations indoors without moonlight, still show circadian dips in activity roughly every 29 days. The moon's pull has become internalized, a rhythm etched into behavior long after its light ceased to matter. The deeper irony lies in how this restraint sustains the balance of the forest. Were bats to ignore moonlight entirely, their predation would overwhelm nocturnal insect populations. Their feeding would become too efficient. Instead, the periodic pause allows prey species to rebound, maintaining the equilibrium on which both depend. The moon's brilliance, then, is not simply danger, it is regulation. Near midnight, clouds gather, swallowing the lunar disk. The forest darkens, and the air hums with renewed movement. From under the canopy, bats rise again, their silhouettes flickering between trees like shards of night-given wings. Each click and flutter marks the return of confidence, of a predator reclaiming its element. The sky that moments ago seemed hostile now becomes a canvas of opportunity. In that rhythm of light and shadow, the forest breathes with them, half seen, half heard, alive by the grace of darkness. And when the moon clears again, when its silver returns to flood the forest in unwanted clarity, the bats will vanish back into the folds of the leaves, waiting for the next patch of darkness to reopen their world. For in the economy of night, even invisibility has a price, and sometimes the brightest danger is the one written in light. The Amazon at midday is a landscape of reflections. Every surface, leaf, ripple, or shell returns the sun in shifting gold. From above, the river appears still, a broad pane of bronze glass. But beneath that illusion moves an immense machinery of current and temperature, of light angling through turbidity and eddies turning unseen. Here, along the half-submerged sandbanks and driftwood islands, a fleet of shapes rises from the murky green. Amazon River turtles, the quiet thermal engineers of this water world. Their shells gleam with the same dull shimmer as wet stone, and in that camouflage lies a paradox. They must expose themselves to survive, yet every minute spent in sunlight risks detection from above. To watch them bask is to see the physics of sunlight translated into behavior. Each turtle climbs from the shallows with careful deliberation, hauling its armored weight onto a branch or log slick with algae. Once balanced, it orients, always the same slow, exacting rotation until the shell's dome faces the sun at a precise angle. This is not chance, it is geometry practiced over evolutionary time. The curve of the carapace becomes a solar collector, capturing maximum radiation in the shortest window. On cooler mornings, the turtles spread farther apart, angling shells like satellites adjusting for signal. By midday, when heat rises to dangerous levels, they stack closer together under overhanging limbs and vine shadows, regulating temperature by proximity and shade. Each shell becomes both absorber and reflector, a small heat economy running on sunlight. Their need for warmth is more than comfort, it is metabolism. Amazon river turtles, like all reptiles, depend on external heat to power digestion, immune function, and even sensory acuity. The difference between a sluggish and a responsive turtle can be as little as 2 degrees of body temperature. Yet those degrees are expensive. For every additional minute exposed on a log, the likelihood of predation increases. Black hawks, jaguars, and caimans patrol this corridor. The turtle's compromise is visible from satellite tracking data. Basking duration peaks, not at the hottest times, but when solar angle aligns with minimal predator activity, typically mid-morning and late afternoon. These narrow windows are the safest to collect energy before the air fills with hunters. The river itself dictates when and where this ritual unfolds. During flood season, when water rises into the forest and current speed intensifies, the turtles' favored basking sites disappear. They adapt by finding sunroofs beneath the canopy, patches of filtered light where the water is calm enough for them to hover just below the surface, exposing only the upper shell to direct beams. Seen from above, these half-submerged turtles look like stones glinting beneath glass, but they are actively managing a thermal budget. The thin layer of surface water acts as insulation, slowing heat loss while minimizing visibility. It is a compromise born of risk. The water cools the shell, lengthening the time required to reach optimal temperature, but reduces the chance of predation. The balance between light and safety shifts with season. In dry months, when sandbanks emerge like pale spines from the receding river, basking becomes a social affair. Dozens of turtles crowd onto exposed logs, forming tiers of domes angled toward the sun. The air hums with insects, the water smells of decay and clay, and above them the vultures circle. The turtles appear unconcerned. Their collective presence is a defense of scale. Predators hesitate when the odds of injury or confusion rise. Yet even within this congregation, there is order. The largest individuals, often females heavy with eggs, occupy the central and most stable platforms. Juveniles linger at the edges, ready to slide off at the first disturbance. Thermal imaging reveals another layer of complexity. Shells at the outer margins heat faster, but also cool sooner when clouds pass, while central shells maintain stable warmth through mutual shading. The group, without coordination, behaves like a living solar array, each individual regulating heat through micro-positioning within the collective. Scientists mapping these behaviors with GPS trackers and temperature sensors have discovered a pattern tied to magneto-orientation, the turtle's uncanny ability to align movement with Earth's magnetic field. When emerging to bask, many orient not just towards sunlight, but along magnetic north-south axes, subtly adjusting their posture as the sun shifts. This orientation likely aids navigation. By maintaining a consistent magnetic reference, the turtle ensures that when it re-enters the water, it does so facing a familiar heading relative to the river's current. Magnetoreception, usually studied in migratory birds and sea turtles, here manifests in a freshwater species living within a labyrinth of shifting channels. It is navigation fused with thermoregulation, a behavioral intersection of physics and geography. Predator pressure adds yet another layer of decision-making. On open sandbanks, black vultures often arrive first, their dark bodies lining the banks like sentinels. They are mostly scavengers, but their presence signals opportunity for larger hunters. Caimans slide into nearby shallows, their eyes breaking the surface. A turtle that senses the vibration of movement underwater may freeze, but freezing carries its own cost: cooling. In controlled studies, researchers found that turtles exposed to predator sounds or shadows reduced basking by nearly half, even when ambient temperatures were low. Over a week, this translates to significant energetic deficit, slowing digestion and reducing growth. The price of safety is measurable in calories and centimeters. Some individuals employ microhabitat tricks to offset this cost. By selecting basking logs partially shaded by overhanging branches, they exploit what biologists call radiation filtering, a balance where enough shortwave radiation penetrates through leaves to heat the shell without drawing visual attention from predators above. The leaves act as a natural roof, diffusing light and breaking outlines. Thermal cameras show these shaded turtles warming more slowly but maintaining temperature longer after sunset as the surrounding vegetation traps heat. It is a patient, cautious strategy, one that suits the turtle's tempo of life. The relationship between river flow and basking extends beyond daily rhythm. Seasonal current variations sculpt the very architecture of thermal opportunity. In high water, floating debris and vegetation mats drift downstream, forming temporary rafts that turtles colonize. These rafts, made of branches, roots, and human litter, travel kilometers before disintegrating, carrying their reptilian passengers across the basin. Turtles bask on these moving islands, adjusting posture to keep balance while tracking the shifting sun. Their navigation skills prevent disorientation. When the raft dissolves, they swim back toward magnetically familiar shorelines. In this way, Magneto-orientation serves as both compass and memory, ensuring that displacement never becomes exile. Temperature regulation also governs reproduction. Females time nesting to coincide with the descending waterline when exposed sandbanks offer safe, sunlit ground. They excavate shallow nests where eggs incubate by solar heat alone, buffered by the sand's thermal inertia. The success of each clutch depends on temperature gradients that mirror those used in basking, the sun as both mother and hazard. Too much heat and embryos desiccate, too little and development slows, leaving hatchlings vulnerable to flooding. Thus, even the species' generational continuity is chained to the sun's angle and the river's rise. What emerges from these layers is a portrait of precise energy management. The Amazon River turtle operates within an invisible ledger of gain and loss. Heat earned versus exposure risk, current speed versus stability, magnetic heading versus solar angle. To a casual observer, a turtle on a log is a symbol of stillness. To a biologist, it is motion slowed to the scale of equations. Each posture, each minute of basking, is a calculated trade between the thermodynamic and the ecological. And so the question lingers, does a roof pay for safety? In the arithmetic of the river, it depends on the price of light. Under the open sun, a turtle warms fast but becomes a target. Under filtered canopy, it warms slow but endures. Neither strategy is superior in all seasons. Both are expressions of the same evolutionary negotiation, the constant search for equilibrium between energy and survival. As evening descends, the turtles slide soundlessly back into the current. Their shells, still warm, release faint plumes of heat that rise and vanish into the cooling air. The sun drops below the tree line, and the river reclaims its bronze sheen. The basking logs drift, empty but radiant, storing the day's light in silence. Beneath them, the turtles navigate by invisible lines, magnetic, thermal, gravitational, returning to the submerged routes that only they can read. The day's solar profit will sustain them through the night's chill, until dawn once again demands the same question, written in heat and shadow. How much light is worth your life? At the scale of a leaf, the world moves differently. Air becomes a textured fabric, bending and lifting in slow waves across the forest understory. Every breeze carries the whisper of branches, the scent of sap, and the tremor of life shifting to remain unseen. It is here, in this microcosm of oscillating green, that a predator waits with the stillness of an idea, folded limbs, glassy eyes, body aligned to the tremor of the wind. The praying mantis, suspended at the very edge of a leaf, is a paradox of motion and restraint. Its stillness is only apparent. Beneath the smooth green exoskeleton, micro-muscles tremble in readiness, calibrated to the rhythm of the air itself. From afar, it is nearly invisible, a slender extension of leaf and stem. Sunlight breaks through the canopy in scattered beams, and every passing gust sets the leaves into motion. Each sway is a rehearsal, each vibration a pulse the mantis listens to. It sways too, not by conscious mimicry, but through reflex loops that match wind-borne frequencies. In high-speed footage, the timing is uncanny. The insect's slight shifts occur milliseconds after the leaf's motion begins, as though the breeze were pulling strings that animate its form. This synchronization, perfected by millions of years of evolution, grants the mantis something rare in nature, a moving camouflage. The predator becomes part of the plant's choreography. On the leaf's edge, the world beneath is a lattice of light and air currents. Small flies, leafhoppers and moths navigate this terrain with exquisite sensitivity. Their survival depends on detecting disturbances. The minute tremor of a predator's footfall, the disruption of air pressure from a looming shape. But the wind confuses everything. When gusts stir the vegetation, all signals merge into noise. Each leaf, each stem, becomes a shifting point in a vibrating forest mesh. For the mantis, this is cover, free motion granted by weather. When the wind rises, it begins its approach, creeping forward in perfect synchrony with the oscillating rhythm of the leaf. Every movement costs energy, but none betray intent. The breeze becomes both mask and metronome. Its eyes, enormous relative to its head, record the scene in mosaic precision. Each ommatidium, one of thousands of individual facets, captures a fragment of the world. Together they build a visual lattice sensitive not to shape, but to motion. The mantis detects the flicker of wings, the twitch of antennae, the shifting shadows cast by prey as surely as we might follow a flash of color in the dark. Yet its brain does not see as we do. It computes motion vectors, passing acceleration and direction almost instantaneously. In experiments where leaves are moved by artificial fans, mantises have been observed adjusting their body angle in direct correspondence to wind frequency, maintaining equilibrium even when visual landmarks shift chaotically. They are not just reacting to sight, they are aligning to the physics of air. The strike mechanism that follows is one of nature's finest kinetic devices. The raptorial forelegs, folded like a monk's hands in prayer, are laced with barbed spines and powered by coiled tendons. When the trigger fires, a combination of visual cue, distance estimation, and timing synchronized with the wind's trough, the attack unfolds in under 70 milliseconds. The legs unfold, lock, and close before the prey registers the threat. Some researchers have noted that the moment of strike often coincides with a micro-lull between wind pulses, exploiting the fraction of stillness that follows turbulence. Whether by instinct or learned precision, the mantis appears to sense the wind's pattern as though reading a score, waiting for the downbeat to fall. Prey response studies in controlled environments reveal the value of this choreography. When artificial leaves are held still, flies and leafhoppers detect and avoid an approaching mantis nearly half the time. When the same movement is synchronized with an oscillating leaf under a fan's breeze, avoidance drops to near zero. The air becomes a cloak of confusion, motion signals drowned in background noise. From an evolutionary perspective, this is genius by simplicity. The predator does not outsmart the prey, it outsynchronizes them. But this symphony of stealth is not without its price. Wind that conceals also destabilizes. The mantis' delicate frame is finely balanced, its center of gravity aligned along a narrow support. A strong gust can unseat it, send it tumbling into the understory, a fall that at this scale can mean disorientation or death. Many mantises have adapted morphological counterweights, elongated abdomens and flexible tarsal claws that grip with micro-serrated precision. Their cuticle surfaces are coated in nanoscale textures that increase friction against plant fibers. Under magnification, the contact points resemble gecko-like pads, an invisible technology of adhesion that allows the insect to move fluidly even as the world around it trembles. The leaf itself becomes an extension of the predator's body, a living stage on which both dancer and prop are moved by the same wind. In calm conditions, the mantis may adopt an entirely different strategy, static ambush. But in the flickering interplay of motion and light, it becomes a kinetic hunter. Its coloration, mottled greens and browns, breaks the outline not only visually, but temporally. Rapid video analysis shows that during wind-driven sway, the mantis limb motion creates a phase lag with surrounding vegetation, reducing detectability by prey. To the insect eye, which tracks movement rather than detail, the predator simply ceases to exist within the blur of motion. Ecologically, the behavior reflects a deep integration between organism and environment. Wind, typically considered an abiotic force, becomes part of the predator-prey dynamic. The mantis's timing, predation rate, and even posture distribution across a forest canopy vary with local airflow. On windy days, capture success rises. On still days, it declines, forcing the mantis to move lower, closer to stems where microcurrents persist. This adaptation creates a vertical niche gradient within the forest. Higher foliage hosts the more wind-reliant hunters, while sheltered understory leaves support ambushes relying on visual stillness. Over time, this stratification shapes the distribution of prey species as well, flies frequenting calmer layers, moths favoring turbulent ones. The breeze, therefore, becomes an architect of ecological hierarchy. Temperature, too, plays its part. As sunlight filters through leaves, heating one side more than another, microconvection currents rise. These gentle thermals alter air density, subtly shifting sound and scent propagation. The mantis, perched motionless, senses these shifts through fine hairs, sensilla, on its thorax and legs. Each hair bends with the faintest pressure change, converting airflow into nerve impulses. This mechanical sense, called mechanoreception, grants the insect a nearly supernatural awareness of its microclimate. It can distinguish the approach of prey-generated eddies from the random wash of wind. The mantis, in effect, listens to the air as much as it sees through it. In the twilight hours, when wind subsides and the forest holds its breath, this reliance on motion becomes vulnerability. Without oscillation to mask it, the mantis must revert to absolute stillness. Its limbs lock in place, respiration slows. It may wait an hour before daring to move a millimeter. Yet even here, the lesson of wind persists. Patience replaces synchrony. Stillness becomes the absence of rhythm rather than its imitation. Whether swaying with gusts or waiting through calm, the mantis remains tuned to the world's smallest intervals of movement. The question, can a breeze pull the trigger, finds its answer not in metaphor, but in mechanism. The mantis's predatory reflex is indeed coupled to environmental motion. The wind's rhythm modulates sensory input, lowers the prey's vigilance, and sets the tempo for lethal precision. A puff of air across the leaf's edge is not background noise, it is the pulse that animates the predator's dance. Without it, the mantis is a statue, with it a ghost in motion. As dusk deepens and cooler air descends through the forest, the canopy begins to whisper again. Leaves flick, stems sway, and the mantis stirs in time. The breeze carries a small moth into range, its path erratic, drawn by a pale flower's scent. The leaf tips tilt together, their motions briefly synchronized. The mantis leans with them, vanishing into the shared rhythm of the air. Then, silence. A blur of green and motion, a still leaf, and the forest resumes its breathing. Here, life depends not only on the predator's strength or the prey's speed, but on the invisible threads that connect both to the physics of their world. The wind, indifferent and unseen, becomes a co-author of the hunt. And in that perfect alignment between air and instinct, the mantis proves what the forest has always known, that even a breeze can decide when death begins. The seafloor moves even when it appears still. Grains of sand drift in miniature avalanches, carried by unseen currents, settling in slow cascades across the back of a creature that is not quite rock, not quite shadow. Beneath the layer of silt lies the outline of a stingray, flat, patient, alive but perfectly silent. Only the faint pulsing of gills gives it away, a rhythmic inhalation through spiracles behind the eyes, sending filtered water over hidden gill slits below. Around it, the tropical shallows shimmer with sunlight fractured through ripples. Every flicker of light on sand is camouflage. Every grain that lands upon its skin is currency in a biological economy where invisibility costs energy and energy means survival. The stingray's body is a masterpiece of hydrodynamic minimalism. Its wings, pectoral fins fused to the head and trunk, form a near-perfect disc. This shape, so elegantly simple, performs two contradictory tasks at once. It allows the ray to glide effortlessly through water and to vanish into the substrate with equal ease. When it chooses to bury, the process unfolds in slow, deliberate choreography. The ray settles onto the seabed, undulating its fins in alternating waves. Each motion lifts sediment, creating swirling eddies that flow inward toward the center of its body. With a series of gentle flaps, the sand cascades over its back until even the eyes are rimmed in silt. What remains visible, two raised humps for eyes and a barely discernible curve of the tail, is so subtle that even a trained diver can miss it at arm's length. But this invisibility comes with a hidden trade. To bury deeper is to reduce detection, to lower the odds that a cruising shark or eagle ray will glimpse its outline. But it also increases the physical distance to escape velocity. Like a submarine sunk too deep, a buried stingray must fight both friction and inertia to launch. The sand that conceals it is also the weight it must displace. Studies using high-speed imaging show that stingrays initiate escape with a violent upward pulse of the pectoral fins, sending twin jets of water backward through channels beneath their bodies. The sand above erupts in a brief cloud, obscuring the launch like a defensive smokescreen. Yet each additional centimeter of burial depth demands exponentially greater force and time. At shallow coverage, the stingray can explode upward in less than a tenth of a second. At deeper burial, the delay doubles, and in the predation world, that lag can mean the difference between life and death. This tension between concealment and readiness is what defines the stingray's life along the bottom. The species has evolved to inhabit a boundary layer where the water's drag slows and sediments settle. Here, sensory adaptations replace sight. Along its head and snout lie hundreds of gel-filled pores, known as the ampullae of Lorenzini, electroreceptors capable of detecting the faint bioelectric fields emitted by nearby animals. Every heartbeat, every muscle twitch of prey becomes a signal in this invisible network. Even while buried, the stingray sees the world through electricity. When a small fish or crustacean swims overhead, its electric signature cuts through the static like a whisper in the sand. The response is not impulsive. The stingray waits, calculating. Its body acts as an enormous pressure plate. Any disturbance in the surrounding sand transmits through its skin, painting a three-dimensional map of movement above. The moment of strike is chosen with the precision of a sprung trap. A single surge sends the ray upward, fins flaring like wings, mouth opening to create suction that pulls prey directly into its jaws. In the brief aftermath, the sandstorm it leaves behind hides the act itself. Within seconds, the predator resettles, burying once more into the very cloud it created, resetting the trap for the next pass. Ecologists studying this behavior have found that burial depth changes predictably with environmental cues. On bright, clear days when sunlight penetrates deep, rays tend to bury fully, reducing shadow contrast that could betray their position. In turbid water or at night, they remain only lightly covered, maintaining agility for quick pursuit. There is even evidence of behavioral plasticity tied to tidal cycles. During low tide, when the shallows offer limited escape routes, rays dig deeper. During high tide, when water volume allows faster glide exits, they settle shallower. The seafloor, therefore, is not a passive environment, it's a decision matrix, constantly negotiated in real time. Researchers testing this relationship in controlled tanks have quantified the sand mortgage, the energetic cost of hiding. By measuring muscle oxygen consumption during burying and escape, they've shown that deep concealment can double metabolic expenditure relative to gliding patrols. A deeply buried stingray burns precious calories even before it hunts. Yet this investment can pay off spectacularly. Predators like lemon sharks, which rely heavily on visual detection, pass within meters of fully buried rays without any reaction. From above, the sand contours blend seamlessly with the body's textured skin. The skin itself carries dermal denticles, microscopic tooth-like scales that disrupt reflection, breaking up patterns of light in ways similar to stealth aircraft coatings. Evolution, it seems, invented radar absorption long before humans gave it a name. Still, the gamble of depth remains. Bury too shallow, and visibility rises; too deep, and launch speed collapses. Some field observations suggest that stingrays tune their burial precisely to body size and predator density. Juveniles, small and flexible, bury less. They can launch faster and are too small to attract large predators. Mature individuals, broader and slower, favor deep burial, relying on size and camouflage over speed. Across populations, this gradient shapes community dynamics. In predator-rich shallows, the sand is alive with deeply hidden giants. In safer lagoons, rays cruise openly, their forms ghosting across the bottom like low-flying aircraft. Prey detection itself is complicated by this geometry. The deeper the ray lies, the more its electroreception becomes filtered by sediment. Sand attenuates weak electric fields, narrowing the sensory bubble. A buried ray hears less of the world. To compensate, it may raise the front edge of its disc slightly, exposing the snout to clearer currents. This posture, half buried, half poised, creates a tension between invisibility and awareness, between hiding and hunting. Some species even flutter their fins periodically to renew a thin layer of oxygenated water beneath the body, preventing suffocation during long waits. This gentle undulation can also stir microcurrents that attract small crustaceans, effectively baiting the trap with movement. Predators, too, exploit this system. Bottlenose dolphins in shallow Brazilian estuaries have been filmed using sonar clicks to locate buried stingrays, then striking the sand with their snouts to flush them out. Rays counter this by shifting to deeper or denser substrate types, mud or coarse sand, that scatter sonar reflections. It is an arms race fought in vibrations and sediment physics, invisible to the human eye but constant along the benthic frontier. The stingray's relationship with its environment extends beyond predation and concealment. Its movements shape the seafloor itself. Every burying and launching event stirs the substrate, releasing trapped nutrients and oxygenating layers of sediment. Over time, this behavior engineers micro-habitats for invertebrates, turning the ray into a quiet ecosystem architect. In coastal shallows, their repeated burials sculpt circular depressions, ray pits, that collect organic matter and shelter small fish. Thus, the energy spent in hiding returns indirectly to the food web that sustains it. The cost of concealment fuels the productivity of the sea floor. As dusk descends, the water cools and currents reverse. The buried stingray, having waited motionless through the heat of the day, stirs again. Moonlight shatters on the waves above, but down here, in the muted amber gloom, everything moves in gradients of shadow. It rises slightly, testing the water's drift, then settles once more, the sand rippling over its skin like breath. In that moment, it embodies the paradox of all ambush predators: safety achieved through stillness, power purchased through vulnerability. The question, when is hiding too deep, is not answered by a number, but by a rhythm, the heartbeat of current, the density of sand, the hunger of the hunter above. The stingray lives at the intersection of physics and fear, where each grain of sand is both armor and burden. When the moment comes to strike, it must shed that armor in a single explosive breath, trusting that the energy it hoarded beneath the surface will be enough. And when it settles again, it will begin to pay back the debt, one undulation at a time, until the sea buries it once more in the quiet arithmetic of survival.